Yeah, I'm excited. I'm so excited to always connect with you and have a good conversation.
Much different conversation than what people are used to hearing on Blue Glasses Math. We're definitely going to talk about math and our connection to how we breathe and how we regulate ourselves when we're teaching and learning math. So yeah. So let's start off with I'm going to ask you your math story because before we hit record, I said I'm not going to ask you your math story, and you're like, oh no, you should totally ask me. So Ashlee, what is your math story?
Yeah, I so my math story is my dad is now a retired high school math teacher, and he loved teaching math. He loves math. He totally like geeks out over math, and he is like that guy. And I just remember like his students loving him. He always had this like super gentle approach, and like he was that teacher. And but my experience with it was he just assumed I was going to get it. And we would, I'd save my math homework for when he was home, and it was just assumed that he was going to help us. And man, the battles we had, the fights. And I was just like, how? Like, how do you teach your kids when, like, your students when you can't teach me? And he would yell and he'd be like, never in my years of teaching have I ever yelled at a
Mm.
student. I'm like, then why are you yelling at me? So my math story was very much around this like fight between my dad and I constantly. And like, I got math. I think I was the kid that just like memorized it so that I could do what I needed to do, and then it like just left. And it's kind of funny because now as a business owner, and the amount of math I have to do, the amount of concepts that I need to understand on a daily, weekly basis, I'm just like, okay, I get it now. Needed to pay a little bit more attention, perhaps. Not fight so hard against it.
So it's kind of wonder, like, what makes me wonder is like, what was it about your dad's frustration and his emotions around like, was it because you were his daughter and he just assumed because he was a math teacher that you would just get it? Was it like this fear that maybe he was feeling like if she doesn't get it, then what? Or maybe I don't know. So interesting.
I think it was probably a mix of it's really hard to teach your own kids.
Yes, so hard.
And I'm also going to layer on, because this kind of weaves into our conversation, that if you've spent everything somewhere else and you haven't replenished your own energy, you haven't regulated yourself, by the time you get home, you have nothing left to give at home. And it goes the other way too. So, if you give everything in the morning before you even walk out the door, and then you show up at work or at school, and these kids are having big emotions, or the kids are struggling and they're dysregulated, your dysregulation mixed with their dysregulation creates this cocktail of like explosion. And I think that's what was happening. Like at the time, I was just like, we just fight.
Yeah.
But now I can see, I was dysregulated as a teenager. He was likely dysregulated after having taught all day and then coming home and matching me. And, you know, all of that just resulted in explosions.
And I think what resonated with me there was that whole needing to replenish.
Mm,
It's like we go, 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 right? And I hear this from parents all the time. How do I help my child with their homework? Like, show me how to do it, right? They always come to me like, show me how to do the division or the multiplication or whatever it is. And I'm like, oh, that's not it. Like,
yeah, yeah.
that's not it. That's not what you need to learn. You need to learn to regulate yourself. And yeah,
You said it. Yep, exactly.
yes, yes. Okay. Awesome. So thank you for sharing that. And I think this is a perfect segue into what we're going to talk about today. So, as I mentioned, but when I introduced you before we came on, you're my breathwork coach. And that's how I met you. I met you through a community where one of the things we do is breathwork. And the breathwork, some people might think, oh, is this like this I don't know. I'm going to use the word woo, right? Is this like a woo-woo thing that just people do? But you and I had a conversation recently about how you brought breathwork to your son's baseball organization.
Hmm.
And that is what sparked this conversation. So we're going to get into that in a minute. And the reason why that sparked my interest was because, tying into your experience with your dad, is that when we teach and learn math, there are so many emotions that take place. And I feel like we've been shoving it down and shoving it down and shoving it down. And then there's this bubbling to the surface. And then there's people who say, well, I just hate math. And it's like, do you hate math, or are you uncomfortable with the feelings that you're experiencing when you're doing math, or the feelings that you're experiencing from the co-regulation of your teacher, right? Or the other adults in the room? How does all this, like, you use the word cocktail. I love that. It's like this cocktail of emotions and yeah. So the question that I wanted to kind of dig into is, how can we increase our own human capacity to deal with things like to hold space, right? So how can we increase
Hmm.
our own human capacity to hold space for students who may be experiencing frustration or uncertainty, um, struggle? When you talk about productive struggle a lot in the math education space, and it's like we can talk about productive struggle, but that productive part is like super interesting to me. I think that there's a lot of conversation in the math ed space about being comfortable with being uncomfortable. But like, what does that actually mean? And I think there's a really niche part. I'm not saying the right word. I think
I
there's,
know what you're saying.
yeah,
Niche part.
niche
Yeah.
part. There's a part that's missing that
Mm.
is this regulation part. So yeah. So how do we increase our human capacity to hold space?
Yeah. I think it comes back to what we're willing to do to replenish ourselves. Like it goes back to that very first, comment I made. And I know it sounds, everyone kind of rolls their eyes of like, oh yeah, I get it. Self-care, put your oxygen mask on first, like all the cliches, but they're cliches for a reason. Like they're repetitive for a reason. And, we all understand, okay, if I'm driving my car and it runs out of gas, I got to put more gas in it. I can't run my car on empty. Like we get that, right? We get it when our battery on our iPhone dies and we're like, "Oh no, I have to plug in." And yet, we still don't get it for ourselves. We don't understand that as the day goes, our energy depletes. Our emotional regulation depletes because our energy depletes. Right? If we don't drink water, we get dehydrated, we deplete. If we don't eat food, we get hungry, we deplete. And and so it's actually the way that we create our, increase our human capacity to hold space is by replenishing, by not letting ourselves get empty. And I hear from so many people, I'm empty, I have nothing left to give. Or they drain me. They suck my energy, right? How many times have we even said that,
I have
right? Like,
said
oh
that.
my God, this is such an energy drain, or oh, that person just sucks the life out of me. And and when we know this, then we need to know, okay, what fuels us? What what pours back in? If we are in a situation, and listen, I am not one to say like that I could be a teacher. I love facilitating, I love guiding. I really love the pop in, be that like really fun hour. And I'm like, bye everyone. That's my jam. But to be a teacher, knowing that each and every day you are walking into a classroom and meeting students wherever they are on their like energy scale, whatever they're bringing to school from home, right? Like you are holding space for the unknown every single day. And if you are not taking the space for yourself to replenish and top yourself up, it is going to trigger you when students are having big reactions, right? Because maybe it's going to remind you of your kid at home, or maybe it's going to trigger your math story, right? Your perfectionist. Maybe it's going to trigger your like not good enoughness. It's going to activate all of these other stories because you haven't replenished. And when we are in survival mode, so when we are stressed and in survival mode, we can't talk like we're talking right now. We can't find that clarity. We don't have that pause that says, how do I actually want to approach this? How could I reframe it? What's a different way? Or maybe today is not the day to reframe it and I'm just going to let this go. Right? Like
Just got
we
full body
we don't
chills, right?
yeah, we don't have the space to do that because we're in survival mode, and survival mode puts us right into our known patterns.
Oh, let's talk about that. What do you mean by known patterns?
Well, like the known pattern to yell, the known pattern to immediately think, I'm not good enough, or the known pattern to go, the kids these days, they don't get it.
Yes.
Like they're so disrespectful. They don't even care. Why am I doing this? These are known patterns that like pull us back into survival mode. They just keep us safe because they don't challenge us to say, what could be going on? How can I try something different? How could I offer a new approach? How can I coach them instead of trying to rescue them?
I was just thinking that was in my mind, right? My dog does bark, and she's not rescuing me, but I see this a lot, and I see it with myself too. I mean, I coach teachers
Hmm.
all the time, and if I am dysregulated going into a classroom, and the teacher looks at me and says, "Just take
Mm.
over, just take over," like I'm there to coach them. I'm not there to teach the lesson. I mean, sometimes that's part of coaching, but it doesn't. It's and so what do I do when I'm dysregulated? I'm like, okay, I got this. But then what is the residue that teacher's walking away with? They might not be leaving with a learning from me. It's just like, oh, thank goodness I got that 45-minute respite. I'm like, yeah, but
Yeah.
that's not my job.
Yeah. And actually, what you may do, and I say this with love,
Yes, I know. Please do. Coach me.
I say this with love, you've actually likely reinforced their mindset of, I can't do this,
Yes, 100%.
right? And so they just carry it with them another day.
Yeah, 100%. And I feel like that happens with our students too, right?
Yes, right? Like, especially when you know, my son is in grade 8 math right now, and so he has my dad who can tutor
Great.
him every now and then. I usually go for a walk during those times because that's how I have to remove myself. I'm not going to be anywhere near that. That's how I regulate myself. I'm not participating in this experience with them at all. Um, like no. But his math teacher, so there was a test coming up, and my dad was unavailable to, you know, do some work with my son. And my son was like, well, I'm just going to ask if I can skip the test or I'll do it a different day. And I was like, absolutely not. You are so capable. And like, we're not looking for perfect. We're looking for best effort today. And, as kids do, he rolled his eyes at me and kind of ignored me, went and asked his teacher, and his teacher said the exact same thing to him. And I was like, thank you. She said, though, you're good at math. Like, you already know this. Just because it's a test doesn't mean it's anything different than what you've been doing all week. And she was like, you already know how to do this. You are capable. And then he did it and he crushed the test and he was fine. And he also even gave himself permission. There was a question where he was like, I don't know that. And he just was like, I'm not answering that one today. And he let it be okay.
He let it be
Like,
okay. That's the yes. Well,
yeah.
he has you as a mom to like regulate him all the time, but like I don't know.
I try.
Well,
I
wait.
try.
So let's talk about okay. Let's because you talked about recently you had an opportunity to do breath work. So you're a breathwork coach. I don't know if we've actually like been very specific about this, right? So you teach people how to use breathwork to regulate their nervous system. Did I catch that
Hmm.
right? Did I? Is that
Yeah.
enough? What else?
Yeah, I think so. You had mentioned before, like breathwork being woo. I totally thought that as well. Like the first time I ever tried breathwork, I was like, I don't want to do this. I would like a template, please, and a strategy so that I can get work done. I don't want to breathe and feel my feelings. And, I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to be effective. And what I have learned over now years of building breath work as a practice, there are a lot of different variations. You can have your hour-long sessions, you can have those, psychedelic type experiences, but that's not what I'm in it for. Every now and then when I'm working one-on-one with a client, we want to like unlock something or, really work on the subconscious. Sure. But my foundation of everything I'm doing now is about regulation. And breath work is the fastest way to regulate your nervous system because it is the only, if you think about your heartbeat, your breath, all of it's happening automatically. And your breath is the only thing that can both be unconscious and controlled,
Mm, that's so cool.
right? It can be both unconscious and conscious. You can manipulate your breath, and even just that awareness of your breath brings you into this present moment. It can be such a grounding tool right before a test. It can be a grounding tool right before you start speaking to students, presenting a new idea. It can ground, and it can also like rev you up. It can get you into like activation mode too, where you're like entering the classroom not as this like super zen chill person, still regulated, but with energy. A little bit of like, ooh, adrenaline behind the lesson. And breath work can really help you in that capacity to, have that clarity. I mentioned before, when we are in survival mode, our patterns take over. When we are regulated, that's when we have clarity. And clarity can give us that, that expanded capacity to say, how do I want to tackle this? Or, sheesh, it looks like the students have, the energy's a little off today. What might I need to start with today?
Yeah.
It can give you that clarity to know what you want. And then it can actually help you see, okay, what's my best next step, right? Instead of this impulse reaction, what's my best next step? And then it also gives you the energy to actually do it. Instead of like even just sitting here and people will be like, oh yeah, sounds great. I don't have the energy for that, right? It actually gives you clarity, the alignment, and the energy because you're not in survival mode,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
And so many teachers and students are in survival mode now in these days, right? Like,
Yeah.
and you mentioned with your son being like, I'm not doing that question. He didn't just give up on that question. It just it wasn't in his zone that day to do. And I feel like we need to give students more permission to have that level of discernment. It wasn't like he was just giving up, right?
Hmm.
It was like, no, that's not for me today. And a lot of people are like, okay, you can't just like tap out of things. But I feel like he did it from a regulated place. Um,
Yeah. Yeah. And he wasn't doing it from a, like, I don't care about this. This is dumb. Like, I suck. He wasn't doing it from that. He was just like, because he had actually missed a few days of the lesson. And he was just like, okay, I don't actually know this. And if I sit here and stew, he knew it was going to get his anxiety and his stress level up.
yes.
And then he's going to spiral and likely not be able to answer the other questions.
Boom. Love it. Love Amazing. Okay. So the reason why, I mean, I wanted you on this podcast for a while. We've been talking about it probably for about a better part of a year. But recently we had this conversation about your son's baseball organization. And so you mentioned your son is in eighth grade, so he's an adolescent. And you recently conducted a breathwork. Can we talk about what you did with the students?
Yeah.
Because what hit me the most was that your son was in the room, but the breathwork experience was on Zoom, and we'll get into the particulars of it. But when it was over, your son looked at you and said something to the effect of, "How did you do that?" And I'm like, for a teenage boy or prepubescent or whatever boy
Yeah.
to like look at his mom and be marveled at what he just witnessed and what he just experienced is like groundbreaking to me. So I'm like, let's dive in to that.
Yeah, that was like a really special experience. My son is, yeah, his baseball organization is like an elite baseball organization. They're highly competitive. The ages range from 13 up to 18. So yeah, we're looking at like grade 8 all through high school. And I kind of pitched this idea to the head of the organization around like mental fitness. And, we talk about sports a lot, and I think we can make the parallels here to the classroom as well. Um, we want it's not often about like lack of talent. It comes down to what's happening between the ears.
Yes.
How we're talking to ourselves, the thoughts that are running, like even as adults, we're doing this all the time, right? If we let our inner critic take over, well, like that's not going to get us anywhere fast. And it's probably the fastest way to derail our dreams and our actions. And so I pitched this idea to his coach around regulation and using breath work to help visualize, what the game, your role, what the game might look like, and also to use it as a way to bounce back. Baseball is a game of errors. Really, at the end of the day, whoever wins the baseball game is the team that made the least amount of errors. So that's hard if
Yeah, I
you
didn't
think
even think
about
about
it.
that. Yes. So
Yeah,
that's
it's a
yeah,
game of errors.
yeah,
And math can be similar. It's like,
yeah,
okay, well, I either got the question right or I got it wrong,
yeah,
right? Maybe I showed my work and I get part points, but either at the end of the day, I think one of the pieces that's really hard about math is you are right or you are wrong. It's not like English where I could write a fancy essay and, subjectively the teacher might say like, "Oh, she made some pretty good points." Like,
yeah, yeah,
yes, she passed.
yeah.
It is, yeah, right or wrong. And the wrong can feel like errors.
Yes. Love it.
And how are we bouncing back? How are we going, okay, I'm not always going to make an error. I'm not always like, I'll get the next one, right? Like, all right, I can practice that so that next time I know what to do with the ball or I know what to do with this question. And so I pitched this idea to him and he was like all over it because he played at a college level and he's like, I didn't learn breath work and visualization until I was in college and it's becoming more and more popular. So I guided, we're like, we'll just put it out there. I had 61 athletes showed up to this call on Zoom. And my son was, in my office here, I'm pointing, but I have a beanbag chair in the corner here where I do my breath work. And he was sitting there and he was listening. And, um, he was nervous for me because he was more worried that I was going to like embarrass him,
Yes.
which I get. I get it.
Oh my gosh.
I'm his mom and I'm talking to like all of these dudes he hangs out with. Um, but because I was regulated and because I could really connect with the kids and talk about what matters to them, which was the game, I could use some real life examples of other athletes who apply this or, situations. I know what they're thinking, right? Like I know what they're thinking because I think it too.
Yeah. I don't want to make a mistake.
I don't want to make a mistake. Everyone's watching me. What if I look dumb? Like, I'm gonna get cut. Like, your students are you know what your students are thinking.
Yeah.
Like, it's not new thoughts.
Yeah.
You probably thought them at one point too, or maybe still do. So I was able to connect with them because I'm human. And then I showed them some, examples of here's a breath work that, or here's a breathing pattern that you can use, when you've been sitting on the bench and they're like, yo, 28, you're up. And you need to like get into the game fast, right? So it's like a bit of a like pump up breath work. We can do that. We can activate ourselves. Then I showed them a breathing pattern that they can use when they're really feeling the nerves. And maybe you're walking to the mound and you need to take a few really deep breaths to like get back into your body and tune out the noise of everything else. Right? And even the visualization of, okay, like I'm stepping into the batter's box, I'm holding the bat, I see the pitch coming, what am I going to do with it? And all of this can be applied to the classroom. All of this could be taught, to our teachers. Like, how are you walking into the classroom? Can you just like visualize yourself walking into the classroom? Visualize the way you're holding your body, how you're going to face your teammates, right? Maybe your colleagues, or how are you going to interact with the noise and still show up? We're asking our kids to do this, right? We're asking our kids to do this every single day. Show up, get into a classroom where there's a lot of noise, and receive all of this information and then perform. Yeah.
Teachers.
Yeah.
As you're talking, I've been doing a lot of work with school leaders. And I'm thinking, how powerful would this be for a school leader? Because school leaders right now are also under a lot of pressure, are under a lot of pressure
Mm-hmm.
with, all the noise that's coming in their directions, right?
For sure.
So before they step into like
Yeah,
a team
even
meeting.
leading a staff meeting, or, setting the tone for the vibe of your school. Like, leaders leaders do wear a lot on their shoulders, and some of them I know wear it proudly, and others feel burdened by it.
Yeah, totally.
And I think all of that is just, again, some mindset and a choice. It can really, really feel like nothing's going your way. And our brains love to collect proof. This was another thing I talked to the athletes about, is how our brains look for proof for what our beliefs are. And so the same in math. If you've been told you're on and on and on, you're disruptive in the classroom, you're not good at math, whatever it is, then you look for examples, you collect proof. Just like the athletes, right? Oh, I always strike out against a left-handed pitcher. Well, sure enough, they're going to strike out against a left-handed pitcher, and they're collecting proof. But if we flip that lens and start saying, you know, I make great contact with the ball, or when I'm in class, it's easy for me to focus. Or when I study, this was a big one that I've been using with my son, because he is the kid in class who would rather be socializing than listening. But he's like, when I study, I do really well. So we got to study them, man. Like, he knows that when I put in the effort, I see better results.
Yeah.
And then he starts to see, oh yeah, look, I studied and then I got better results. Oh, look, I studied, and then my teacher actually said, "Hey, you know how to do this." And so he's now collecting proof of, when I study, I get better results. And only because he's changed his lens, right? He's not the kid begging me to go to school every day, but he is the kid who, when we collect proof, he's like, oh yeah, okay, I see that.
I buy in. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I've seen this over and over again with teachers that I work with and with students, and just the like, I don't believe it. I don't believe it. And somebody actually said to me once, and this is for another episode, but like, if you don't believe in them, who will? Right. So, but it wasn't that simple, because I was like, okay, well, I can shift my belief, but I actually need evidence. I need to see. Right. So then when I went in after hearing that, I was like, okay, let me try to give them something, give my students something that will help me believe that they can.
Yeah.
And then that's when the whole like shifting of beliefs happened. But it was like, you keep saying, collecting proof. I needed proof. I needed some evidence that they were capable of doing something, because I wasn't
Hmm.
giving them the opportunity to do that because I was afraid, and I was just rescuing them before that. Right. So
Yeah.
I just see all of this as being so powerful to give, to like change the world.
Yeah.
Change the world.
Well, and I think too, if we kind of even just like break it down a little bit further, if you're a teacher or leader listening to this, it's like what can you do to help yourself get more regulated? So if you know that by noon or third period, you're depleted, your stress level is high, your energy level is low, it's like these are all really helpful clues for that's the time for you to take a pause and charge your battery. And I really want to stress that charging your battery doesn't need to be an hour-long breathwork session. It doesn't have to be this like intense, I'm not talking about anything that's going to take a ton of time, because I also know that that's not realistic. But there are, 5-minute breathing exercises that you can do. You can pop in your earbuds and like go for a quick walk and listen to some meditation. You can tap. You can just shake it out. Like, man, if we all just started like actually
That's just
shaking
like
out,
shake
when
that.
dogs shake?
Oh, they, yes, they're releasing
Yeah,
energy. Yeah.
they're releasing energy. They're regulating their nervous systems, right? Every time my dog passes another dog and we're like, don't do anything dumb, and then he doesn't and he shakes it off, we're like, yes, he's regulating. We could learn from that. Like, just jump around, shake it out, kind of like give yourself a little dance,
Yeah.
laugh.
Yes.
Laughter regulates your nervous system. Like, there's so many little things that we overlook because we're so focused on the like big thing.
The deliverable.
Yeah, or the like, I need a spa day, or I need like a whole week off, or I need the whole education system has to change in order for me to feel regulated. Like, we want we want the big external thing, and yet we have access to so many micro moments that will regulate us if we actually allow it. If we flip our lens and we're like, this regulates me. Laughter regulates me, right? Or a walk regulates me. This song regulates me. And that's what that my program Regulate is all
Yes.
about. Is like
Yes.
finding your thing, finding what's going to work for you, because exercising, everyone's always like exercising regulates me. I'm like, I get that. It doesn't regulate me. I do it because I want to, but it doesn't actually regulate me.
Yeah. Right.
Walking does.
Me too.
Walking outside,
Walking.
walking my dog, looking around, walking without technology,
Yeah.
that regulates me.
Totally. 100%.
So you got to find your thing.
You got to find your thing. Okay. So as we wrap up this conversation, because I could talk to you all
Hmm.
day, but um, reality is going to strike pretty soon. We have to go do things. So how could people find out about what breathwork is? Like, dig a little deeper, and I'll put all this in the show notes if you have like links or anything like that to share or anything.
Yeah. So I have a couple of things that I've actually designed specifically for teachers because my sister is also a teacher. And so she's always sending me messages being like, I need this. So I actually have a teacher audio bundle, and I think it's got 3 to 5 micro sessions built for transitions. So it could be this your morning, like kickstart your day. There's like a 5 minute between periods or recess break, breath work. There's one for releasing your day before you, like when you leave the school, before you go home to your family, because I know that that's a big one for people
Gotta
is,
give that to your dad.
yeah, I should have anyway. That's a whole other podcast. But right, it's that like I call it driveway breathing. Do not
Driveway
enter
breathing.
your home. Do not enter your home if you haven't regulated your energy. Because you're just going to take whatever happened at work and you're going to project it onto your family. Um, right? So I've built in these like little micro sessions, and then I think there's one for bedtime because we need to sleep. We need to sleep. And so that would be like a really helpful, useful tool for teachers if you want to even just start dabbling and see what breathwork is, what it could look like. And then I also like I do workshops.
Okay.
So if I could be of service to a school, a classroom, man, I would love to even come into classrooms and, regulate everyone at once.
Can you
Kids,
imagine?
teachers.
Put
Yeah.
you on the big screen. And if you can do this with 61 adolescent baseball players,
Boys.
I mean, come on, you can definitely, yeah. And I know that your work has been so valuable to me, just being like, and I notice when I don't,
Mm,
when I choose not to, right? And I say it's a choice, right? When I choose, I had an event, a huge event a couple of months ago, and just reflecting with my team, and I'm like, that would have gone so much better. It was great, but it would have been so much better if I literally had just stepped into the restroom and taken like 3 minutes to breathe, but I didn't.
yeah.
And then the energy was really, really high, which was great. But I think it just
Hmm.
needed to be brought down a little bit so that I could make some points that I missed in the talk that I
Yeah.
was giving. And I'm like, okay. So anyway, yes, I love this. Okay, so where can people find you, Ashlee, and connect more with you?
Yeah. So the best place, you can either visit my website, which is ashleelivingstone.com, or connect with me on Instagram. I'm pretty active there. I know a lot of teachers aren't necessarily on Instagram. So, but maybe even pop my email. Just like, yeah, reach out. I'm a real human who answers her own emails, has her own conversations. So if you want to connect with me or anything in this has like sparked some interest, and you want to see like how it could work for you at home, at school, just even in your own life, I think it's a great way to start.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your time, Ashlee, today, and thank you for helping me on this in this journey that I'm on too. So we appreciate
Yeah,
you so
always.
much. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Pam Brett. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of Blue Glasses Math. Please follow me wherever you get your podcasts and follow along on the conversation on Instagram. And remember, being a math person is all just a matter of perspective.